Good afternoon, everyone. I am working on assembling my Goldwork journal today. I'm now in the middle of the book and I'm pretty happy with how things are turning out. I'm using a ladder stitch to attach my pages, and that seems to be working quite nicely. The pages are nice and butted up against each other, and I think that this technique is going to work nicely to finish this little book. I've chosen a DMC Pearl 12 to do my stitching on the binding with, and it's in a similar color to my fabrics that I've selected. I don't want my binding to be very visible. I have a embroidery crewel needle, whatever needle will work, that easily goes through your fabric and that you can thread your Pearl 12 with. My scissors, and I also have two quilting clips, which are pretty useful for helping me align my pages. So to get started, I'm just going to take a piece of the pearl cotton and thread it up on my needle, and I'm going to do a knot on the end here. I'm going to set aside the 3 pages I've currently done, and I'm going to work on assembling this layout here. So these 2 pages are together, and I'm going to be sewing this seam from here to here. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of open the top here, and we folded in the raw edges and we did a press about 1/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my needle in between the 2 layers where they're folded together and come up right on the pressed edge. And now what I'm going to do is just match up my 2 pages here. And using my little quilting clips, I'm going to just hold them together so that they stay aligned as I stitch. Now what I'm going to do is look at my edge here. I'm going to be sewing the 2 inside raw edges together here. And I'm going to be using the fold pressed edge as my guide. I'm going to be using a ladder stitch. The ladder stitch or slip stitch is a very versatile stitch. It is also very easy to execute. My stitches are about 3 millimeters long, and I'm going to go along after about 5 or 6 stitches. I'm just going to give this a pull here to pull the 2 pieces of fabric together, and then that will give the nice edging. So if you look on the inside here, when I pulled it together, you don't get any gaps. The 2 pages are quite snug, fitting against each other. So I'm just going to sew this along the edge, and that's all there is to it. When I get to the bottom, I will give it put a knot in and bury the thread in between the 2 layers. Now I have these 2 pages sewn together. I'm going to sew this layout onto my 3 pages that I've already done previously. So basically the same process. I'm going to take my thread with a knot, start it right up on the edge there, right on the pressed seam, the pressed edge that we created with our iron. And I'm going to put these 2 together. And because I'm getting quite a bit of bulk here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pin these 2 inside ones here together. And then that I can still open this page up if I need to check and see what's going on. Make sure they're nicely lined up and pin down here. And I'll just flip this over because that'll probably be easier to show as I go along. I see I've got quite an edge here. So when I'm done all these, I'm going to go in and press them so that they are laying a little flatter. My book is pretty much put together. I have given it a press. I might do another one. I'm thinking that I might need to adjust my expectations on the wrinkledness of this book because it seems to be wrinkly all the time, but that's okay. This is a work in progress, so I'm kind of happy with how it's turning out. But I'll just flip through all of my pages, and you see how nicely the book lays as you go through the pages. I'm really quite happy with how it's turning out here. Very sweet. And there it is. Stay tuned for the next part, which will be the inside cover and the outside cover.